Good afternoon, everyone. Respected principal ma'am, resource person, faculty, and participants. I, Professor Sudha Sarikar, Startup Coordinator, IIC RLSI, take this opportunity to introduce our resource person, Professor Mahak Balani, for this webinar. Professor Mahak Balani has 18 years of experience in academic field and is currently working as assistant professor in MBA department at Acharya Institute of Technology, Bengaluru. She has done her MBA in Human Resource Management. She also holds a master degree in English Literature and a double degree in education as well as arts. She has qualified SLET and NET accredited by UGC New Delhi. She holds a certification in people management from Indian Institute of Management, Bengaluru. She has submitted her PhD thesis in management in 2021. She has visited countries like Australia, Malaysia, Hong Kong for MDP programs and international management fests. She has presented 16 research papers at various international and national conferences, including presentation at IIM Bengaluru and IPR Dubai, UAE. She also has 10 publications to her credit in various journals. She has been invited as a speaker to deliver a talk in various professional growths and interpersonal effectiveness, communication, future for work, and soft skills for management and engineering students. Her research interest includes human resource management, employee engagement, corporate communication, competency mapping, employee performance, entrepreneurial education, soft skills, and people management. For this brief introduction, I welcome you, ma'am, for this webinar. Welcome you, ma'am. Now, I request our Lord Principal, ma'am, to address.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable members of the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell and AICT, respected resource person of today's webinar, Professor Mahak Balani, Assistant Professor, MBA Department, Acharya Institute of Technology, Bengaluru, management members, Sri S.G. Nanjapna, Life Member and Member Secretary, Dr. Satisha MP, President of IIC, as well as Life Member and Member Secretary of KIALI, Dr. Kirti Badgi, Coordinator IQAC and NAC, Dr. Prashant Hiramat, Convener for Institutional Innovation Council, Ms. Sudha Sarikar, Startup Coordinator IIC, Dr. Gangadhar B, Internship Coordinator IIC, Student Coordinators of IIC, Ms. Rohini Kanbarkar and Ms. Rose, Heads and Coordinators of various departments of UG and PG, other faculty members, and my dear student friends. I'm really very delighted to be a part of this webinar conducted under the Impact Lecture series under the IIC program, invited and supported by the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell and AICT. Today's webinar is on soft skills for career guidance, organized by a college under IIC in association with IQAC. As all of us know that technical or hard skills are not enough to reach the top or become successful in our career, but our soft skills need to shine along with all the technical knowledge that we have. Hard skills are gained through years of training, education, and practical experience, getting to grips with all manner of challenges in the workplace. But increasingly, a person's employability depends on how well they can apply these hard skills in a team environment where personalities and work ethics differ from one individual to the other. That is where soft skills will give you the edge. From adaptability and critical thinking to strong communication, all soft skills are crucial to continuing on the path to career development. It is a soft skill that makes you different from the others, and a real winner will take you ahead in your career. So, to know more about soft skills for career guidance, we have organized this webinar and an impact lecture series. And for this webinar, we have an eminent speaker amidst us, Professor Mahek Balani, Assistant Professor, MBA Department, Acharya Institute of Technology, Bengaluru. Madam, on behalf of our management, all my staff and student community and my own behalf, I welcome you to this today's webinar and also thank you for accepting our invitation to grace this occasion. I also welcome and at the same time would like to thank the authorities of the Ministry of Education, Innovation Cell and AICT for giving us an opportunity for conducting impact lecture sessions and also for supporting us with funding assistance. A hearty welcome to all the esteemed members of management, Professor Nanjapnar, Life Member and Member Secretary, Dr. Satish MP, President of IIC, as well as the Member Secretary and Life Member to Kearley. Welcome to the entire organizing team, all my learned colleagues and students. Finally, I would like to conclude saying soft skills are very important as they make an individual a human being. Let's all be good human beings. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me for your institute.
Yes, ma'am. Our pleasure. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I thank the management at the outset of RL Sciences Institute, Dr. J.S. Kavlekar, Principal of the Institute, for such a nice welcome. Dr. Satish MP, President IIT, Dr. Prashant B. Harmat, Convener IIC, Ms. Sudha Sarikar, Startup Coordinator, members of IIC, RLSI, faculty and the students who have joined for this session. I am really glad that you are there. And as ma'am was telling, that soft skills are really very significant. It's not just the technical skills. We have seen in our life that apart from the technical skills, people who are not good at soft skills, they are not able to exist in an organization. So that's the importance of soft skills. So before we just start off, I'll just like to put up my presentation. Just let me know if it is visible to you. Yeah. Right. So anywhere down the line, if I'm not audible to you, just let me know. So I hope you're able to see.
It's all very clear.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead with this topic. The topic, as introduced to you, it is soft skills for career guidance. And I always had a flair for communication. That's the reason why this topic is something which is very, very interesting to me. All my life, I have taught engineering students and management students this particular subject called communication. Either it is called communication skills in the various institutes, or it is called managerial communication, or it is called soft skills, right? So it all means the same, but it plays a very significant role if you see the significance of this particular topic, that is soft skills in the workplace. So I would like to tell you that this would be your takeaway for the day. You will be able to understand the meaning of soft skills through my session. Why is it important for your career growth? No matter which area you belong to, soft skills are essential for you. Apart from that, you will also be understanding as to how self-awareness leads to better outcomes as far as soft skills are concerned. Apart from that, when you are applying for a job, how do you showcase these soft skills on your CV? How can it boost your employability? And at the end, we will take up a segment where I will be talking about startups and what are the different soft skills which are specifically required for a startup. So moving ahead, this is the basic meaning of soft skills. So anything which is talking about your identity, anywhere where I get to know that these are the characteristics that you have as an individual, this is what is called as soft skills, right? So whenever we say we are talking about training session on soft skills, it is not very easy to go ahead and take up a course and quickly say that I am good at soft skills. It is rather something which you can say for technical skills, where you can take up a course, you can take up a degree, get a certification, and you become good at that particular aspect. But when it comes to soft skills, it is rather something which was taught to you at the school level, but then we did not pay so much of attention there. As we grow in life, we come to know the significance of this particular aspect, right? So let's understand specifically what are we talking about. Whenever you talk about soft skills, there are two things which are significant. One is the personality traits of an individual, that is who you are. And the second aspect is the behavioral skills. Behavioral skills signify what you do. So we have to take care of who we are and what we do. So if I say that I have to talk about personality traits, it is something which is making you different from the other individuals. So I may take an example saying that a particular person whom I know is very shy in nature. So if he is shy, I would say that he is not able to interact with people. He might be an introvert by nature. So when I say he's an introvert, this is a particular personality trait that I see in him. Apart from this, if I say that I'm taking the opposite kind of people, I may talk about an extrovert. Extrovert is a person who would enjoy the company of good people, and they find it very easy to talk to people, and they also enjoy the company of people. So whenever we say that we are talking about one side, an individual who is an introvert, on the other side, extrovert, we are talking about the personality traits of a particular individual that is making you unique, right? Second aspect which I said is the behavior or behavioral skills. Now behavior can change according to the situation. So if you say that, ma'am, I'm very confident to speak, you may be confident, but it depends on the situation, whether you are confident everywhere or you are confident only in front of your friends. Sometimes it happens that we meet a person who is very confident in front of people whom he is always with, that is his friends, his acquaintances, people whom he knows. But the moment he goes and speaks to people who he is unaware of, or maybe with regard to a larger audience, he finds it very, very difficult to communicate. So he might be lacking confidence there. So that's why I said it is changing according to the situation. That is why we call it behavioral skills. So to sum up, I can say soft skills are a combination of personality traits as well as behavioral skills. And how are these soft skills learned? It can be learned, as I said, at the school level, through your life experiences when you start working. So we cannot say that our personality stops developing after we take a particular job. It continues till we reach our grave. So it is an entire process where the starting point is known when you are born, but till the time you die, the personality keeps on growing. That is why we have to pay specific attention to what is called as soft skills, right? So the attitude, what you have with people, how you behave with others, what is defining your identity is something which is known as a soft skill. Moving further, we must know the difference also between hard skills and soft skills. So why do we get confused at times? The confusion lies because we do not know which skills come under the category of soft and which comes under the category of hard. So to give you the difference, hard skills are the skills that you acquire as a result of the education that you have, any kind of training that you have taken, any kind of previous work experience that you have taken. Whereas if you are talking about soft skills, these are your personality traits, something which will help you thrive in the workplace. Whatever you get as a certification, what you get as qualification, that might help you to get a job. But to stay in the organization, to be good at communication, you would have to be good at your soft skills, right? So if I have to give you some examples of soft skills, I can say that you're talking about leadership, you're talking about adaptability, creativity, any kind of empathy that you have with people. Whereas if it is hard skills, it could be that you have a great knowledge of database management, you might be very good at your programming skills, and maybe you are good at mobile development as well. So those are hard skills. So we can say that hard skills are something which are absolutely necessary for your success, but only to get you a job. Once you reach the workplace, you will be demonstrating your soft skills, and only then you will advance in your career. So to be staying there, you need to show that you have the right working style, you have the right approach, and you have the personal qualities which make you good at interactions with people. If you have all of these, we are talking about soft skills. So hard skills could be related to one particular industry, whereas soft skills are applicable across all industries. Wherever you go, soft skills are required. Only the degree might vary, right? So this is what is the difference. Let us take an example. Since you all are into the BSc aspect, I have taken this example. If you are into the field of medicine, if you have hard skills, you should have a knowledge of the basic procedures that are adopted in the medical field, any kind of equipment that you have to use being a doctor, and you should also have a basic knowledge of drugs and medicine. As you further proceed in your career, you have to further keep on researching. That means it doesn't stop here. As we have already known that when the pandemic came, even doctors were confused as to what to do. So slowly and steadily, when research came in, then they got an idea as to this is how we have to further proceed. So what are those? Those are hard skills. Then what are soft? What are the examples for soft skills here? In case of the medical area or the medical field, if you have empathy with the patient, then you have soft skills. That means you're able to understand the problems of the patient properly, and you come into the shoes of the patient and understand what is he going through, right? Apart from that, if somebody listens to you very well, half the disease goes away like that for you. So you have to be listening well to issues which are faced by the patient. If you are a doctor who is very approachable, then in that case, you have soft skills. If you are reliable for the patient in the sense that if the patient tells you something and you keep it to yourself, you don't discuss it with another patient coming in, who might be a friend of this person who just spoke to you. He doesn't want you to tell anything to his friend. He has confided in you. So if he can rely on you in these aspects, in this case, you have soft skills. So these are the basic soft skills. Research has told us that whenever it is soft skills, it is a requirement every time. But if you're talking about specific skills, people say that more than the technical skills, what is required is soft skills, right? So it is very difficult to find people with good communication skills. It is very easy to find people who are good at technical skills. And it is predicted that by 2030, all the jobs will be soft skills intensive jobs, right? So this is something which you cannot miss on when you are taking education, right? And one of the studies also says, which is from Harvard University, it says that 85% of the job success comes from having good communication skills or good soft skills, right? So if you are able to take care of your soft skills, it is possible that you will climb the ladder in the particular organization much faster and higher than other people. So that comparative aspect will be there. You can compare two people who have good leadership qualities, another one who is not a good leader. So you will see the person who has good leadership qualities only going up the ladder, because people in the organization want talent moving away, right? It has to move to the higher direction. Okay. Some of the examples of soft skills which are required at the workplace all the time. You can see it on the screen. Communication, which is a basic aspect everywhere. In every job, communication is a must. Apart from that, you have teamwork. You should be a good team player. You should be good at decision making. Can you manage your time well? Are you good at some of the traits which are required for leaders? Can you resolve the conflicts properly? Some kind of conflict is always good, but other types of conflicts have to be something which have to be resolved there and then. Otherwise, the organization cannot progress. Apart from this, if you are creative, if you have something called critical thinking, then people will always appreciate you at the workplace. Some people always say that I'm good at my work, I'm a hard worker, but I'm not a smart worker. That means somewhere down the line, you don't know how to showcase your work. You do not have something as a skill called networking. You don't go out and meet people, right? So if networking is lacking, then also you are lagging behind when you compare yourself with people who are successful. Empathy, I just told you that you have to get into the shoes of the other party so that you can understand. If you're working somewhere, ethics is something which is always appreciated, right? So whichever area you are in, you should be ethical in nature. Otherwise, the company will not let you stay once they come to know, right? Then the question comes, does this particular aspect, which is so significant in our life, come naturally? Do soft skills come naturally, yes? What is the answer for this? Are we born with soft skills? Haven't you seen in your life that some people, they are very easygoing in terms of their interactions with people? They communicate so easily and effectively that people just like them. Whenever they go for some parties, you will see that such people are surrounded by people all the time because they are easygoing people, right? So the answer to this, yes, the answer is yes. The soft skills can come naturally to us. Some people are actually born with good soft skills, but that doesn't mean that if you do not have soft skills, you cannot develop it. So can it be developed? Can soft skills be learned? So if you ask me directly, I will say that if you are talking about the environment where you are studying, soft skills cannot be taught directly in the classroom, but they can be learned and improved by observation. They can be identified as certain skills which are required and needed at every level, and you would have taken some skills at the school, at work, and sometimes you do some volunteer activities and you gain a lot of skills out of that. Apart from that, you can also attend some certification courses in soft skills. You can also participate in training programs. You can also participate in initiatives which are taken by the college where they say that we would like to improvise or improve on the communication skills of people and make them placement ready, right? So you can say soft skills can be natural things for some people, but still you have hope. You can be the type of a person who is not very good at natural public skills or people skills or communication skills at present, but still if you apply for a job, you can further decide that this is what the certification I have to take so that I can develop my communication skills. So it can be developed as well. Now, how to highlight your soft skills, specifically when you are applying for a job? Can I write it in the resume? Of course. There is something called a skill section in the resume which has to be highlighted as soft skills. So people who are looking for technical aspects, you can list that. People who are looking for soft skills, you can list that. It can be a combination of both, which is a requirement, even if it is not mentioned, it is a requirement everywhere. So what the best policy here would be that you can just write down a job description for yourself first, then research about some companies. What are they looking for? If they are looking for people specifically in relation to certain skills, what are those soft skills that should be there on my resume? So search and find out certain keywords which are related or connected directly to what the company is searching. So then only the matching will happen. Nowadays, nobody will take up your hard copy of application and go through it. It is all the softwares which are just feeding out the resumes which are not wanted. So since the software is taking care of it, it is very important for you to see that certain keywords are mentioned there. Otherwise, your resume may not be picked up by the person who is taking care of this, right? Apart from this, if you get a job, or if you are applying and you have taken care of the soft skill requirement as well, and you are lucky enough to get a job, then how do you get enough, at the workplace, what do you do? Continuously you have to showcase what are you good at in terms of communication, which will make you different from another person who has joined at the same time, right? So it's a process. First is your resume, then take every chance that comes in the interview also if you can showcase or demonstrate your skills, because it's not very easy to see the soft skills in a person, but mind you that it is just the first 5 minutes which will make you understand or feel that, yeah, I have to hire this person or not. So what is it? It is not the technical knowledge, it is the soft skills first, right? If you have good soft skills, only then you can put across the technical knowledge, right? So this is how highlighting of the soft skill is essential, and you should learn how to do it. These are the questions which the candidates are asked in case you are appearing for a particular interview, because as I said, it is not a direct thing which can be observed. So they would just ask you to give some instances of the following things that you can see on the slide. How can you develop, or how do you develop your relationships with your co-workers, your supervisors? You have to tell them a particular evidence, or you have to narrate a particular incident which happened in your previous workplace, right? Narrate a problem that you solved in a creative way. Doesn't mean that you cannot be a fresher. You can be a fresher, not necessarily you have taken up a job only then you can answer this question. At the school level, at the college level, you would have participated in some activities, you would have taken up some projects, you would have done some internships. You can take examples from there and you can narrate it to them. Another question could be, sometimes we have difficult people who are not open-minded. Those are called difficult people. It's very difficult to communicate with them. So how do you deal with such a person, or how do you deal with a particular situation, right? If you answer in a way that you have dealt with a particular situation in a manner which satisfies the interviewer, then you will be the one who will be selected. So another could be that if you have worked on some project, can you just discuss a time that you needed some guidance and you were not able to do it on your own? You cannot say, no, every project I finished on my own, because that's not possible. You need guidance of seniors on some projects, definitely, right? So can you ask people for help? Are you that kind of a person? They would like to know that. Can you share a time when you are facing communication problems with your manager and you handled the situation very well, or probably you could not handle, right? So you have to think about certain incidents which have happened in your life and then go for the interview so that you can answer easily. Now, since we are speaking about soft skills, let's see that it's a combination of so many factors which are around that. It's not just communication. It is people skills. It is your personality which makes a lot of a difference. Apart from that, the most talked about concept today is of emotional intelligence. That's why I've written it's a combination of everything what you can see on the slide. So let's take it up one by one. So the first thing that I have taken here is communication skills, right? Whenever you think about communication, communication actually has only 4 skills, what we call as communication skills. But when we generally ask students, they would say, ma'am, presentation is a skill. Presentation is not a skill. How you speak is a skill, right? So there are 4 aspects in communication. One is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Out of these 4, the most that we learn in our life is through the process of listening. That is why listening comes first. Imagine when you were a child, did you know the script of the language or the language? No. How did you pick up things? Because the first person who spoke to you was your mother. So when your mother spoke to you, you never knew the language, but still she was able to communicate to you because you started grasping her body language. You started grasping her lip sync, the way she's speaking to you. So maybe at one point of time, she would have taught you that, come here, come here. So many times she has told you this. After that, she doesn't use the word and she just gestures, you know what she's talking about. Sometimes she doesn't use the gesture, she's using the word. And you are looking at the lip sync and you understand. So what is this? This is listening and observation. So the maximum number of times that we learn is through this process of listening. But let me tell you, this skill is the most underrated skill. Because at school, when it is taught, people don't take it seriously. When they come to the college, it is too late. And we have seen that in colleges, the span of attention of students is just some 20-25 minutes. It's rather difficult to grab their attention for more time. That is, not 1 hour, not 1.5 hours. Even if we give them some cases to solve, the case study practice that we do in classes, it's very difficult to grab their attention for a period of time. If we give them a case study where it is running into 10 pages, it is rather difficult for them to concentrate. We can even ask them to listen to cases. Even then, they will say that listening for a very long time is very, very difficult. Reading is also very, very difficult, right? But if you see the big B schools, there the case studies would be running into pages. It will not be a one-page affair, right? That is why they are different from the others. Then you should also know how should your presentation style be. So what is presentation style? It is any kind of technique that you are using in the professional environment to deliver a particular speech or to deliver a set of content that you have prepared on a PPT, right? So the best style would not be something which is written on paper or on the internet. The best style would be something which suits your audience. It should suit your subject matter that you have to discuss. It should also suit the kind of discussion that you would like to do with the people who are around, right? Apart from that, you should also know how to express yourself. How should your thought process and the feeling go? If you know healthy self-expression, it will not only make you a better individual, it will make you feel that you have had a fulfilling life. Wherever your creativity, desires, and passions were there, you were able to tap it to the fullest. That is what is expression. Apart from that, you should also know how to persuade people, how to convince them. So whatever ideas you are presenting, whether that is good enough to accept or not, that depends on your persuasion power. Especially those who are in the customer service department, those who are in the complaint department or human resources roles, they should have the skill, and also people who are in the marketing area, because they are the ones who will have to convince the customers to buy a particular product or a service. That is why the power of persuasion is very, very important. Apart from that, we have something called people skills. Now, people skills are very simple to understand because it is something which we call them as interpersonal skills, something which we are using to communicate and interact with people effectively. So, whenever we are able to understand people, whenever we are able to engage with people, whenever we are able to get along with people, with your co-workers, your superiors, people who are under you and you becoming the supervisor, in that case, you should have good people skills. And whenever you are talking about people skills, you should know that it is very, very important to be patient with people. Learn the art of patience. This is an exceptional skill, something which is valuable in every profession. You should have even temper. That means you should not get angry everywhere. That means you should know how to control your anger in most of the situations that you go through, right? Apart from that, what is very, very important is that you should be very assertive in communication. You should not be aggressive. There is a difference between assertive and aggressive communication. Now, when we say aggressive means that whatever feelings we have that is associated with something known as anger. We have a hostile behavior with people. So somebody who comes, we don't want to talk, we make them feel uncomfortable, we make them feel unwelcome, right? So anybody who gets into the situation where a lot of forcefulness is there, it might result in a fight. That means the behavior or the personality type is more in relation to aggression. So you can say that aggression is a behavioral trait, but it is reflected in whatever you communicate. But the question is aggression always bad? Do we say that it's bad always? Do we welcome it always, or we don't like it? So the answer for this would be that aggression is not always bad. It is very, very significant in the area of sports. And the best name that comes to my mind now is Virat Kohli. He is known to have an aggressive personality, but for him it is important. Why? Because if his aggression is absent, winning would not be possible, right? So in certain cases, as far as you are not hurting people, aggressiveness is fine. But in communication, you should also know how to be assertive. I have to put my point across. So I have to be firm. I have to be clear about my thoughts, and I have to have an honest opinion about it. Apart from that, I should always be respecting people who are around me because I'm communicating to them. So I shouldn't be aggressive. I should be assertive in communication. So that's something which I should take care when I am getting into conversations with people, right? Apart from that, it is something which you have to think about because it is related to your emotions, known as emotional intelligence or EQ. So what is this emotional intelligence? Whenever we are able to recognize, understand, manage emotions, then we are talking about emotional intelligence. So this soft skill is becoming more sought after by most of the employers. Why this is so? Because today, if you see in the workplace, the focus of the managers is to develop a good company culture. It is also to have good teamwork among employees so that they are successful in performance management, right? So they want people who are building a particular career in the organization, but they should be high performers, right? So they have to be masters in managing emotions. Then only they will take care of the particular situations that they are into, right? It might happen that there are people who get very angry in stressful situations. So we can say that they are not in control of their emotions. Instead, they have to be looking at the problem very calmly, finding a solution at the same time, and they should be excellent decision makers. If they have these traits, then people automatically start respecting them and liking their decisions. So one example of this could be how Dhoni is in the field. You would never have seen Dhoni that he is in anger or showcasing certain emotions which are not required on the field. People know him as a cool person, as a cool captain he was known, right? So when he came to the field, the decisions were taken very calmly. So he would try finding a solution for every problem that was there on the field, right? So people like him, you can say that they have a high degree of emotional intelligence. They know themselves very, very well, and they can also sense the emotional needs of other people. That is why they are having high EQ levels, right? Now, there was this one American psychologist whose name was Daniel Goleman. He came up with some factors which are listed here for you. He said that there are 5 key elements to what we call as emotional intelligence. Now, when you talk about these factors, these are basic factors which should be there in everybody. The first factor being self-awareness. It is said that if you are aware of your strengths and weaknesses, if you are aware of whether you are confident or not so confident, whether you can control your emotions or get out of control, this decides that awareness is there or not. If this awareness is there, it will reflect in the kind of communication that you have with people. That's the reason why Goleman believes that self-awareness is the most important part of emotional intelligence. Then you have something called self-regulation. Here, you are not only showcasing strengths to the others, you are also having an ability to control your impulses. So when you see people that they are, going higher up the hierarchy or the levels in the organization, you stop being jealous of them. You don't go ahead making certain impulsive decisions that because he's promoted, I should leave the firm. So in the future, you might be going ahead and further climbing the hierarchy better than him. So if you are not taking careful decisions, then you might face the consequences later, right? So if you are self-regulated, you are thoughtful, you take careful decisions, and you also have the ability to have that comfort zone with people when you are talking to them. So that jealousy factor is missing somewhere. If it is missing, it is good for your personality. Then you have a high degree of emotional intelligence in people who are usually motivated. They will not always look for the factors which are related to money. They might also be happy with just recognition by the company, right? So if you get such people, they will be very, very productive on the workplace, and they would like to have challenges in their life, and they will try to be effective in whatever they do in their life. Apart from that, there is something called empathy. Now, this is, of course, the second most important element which is there in research. Yeah, people say that whenever you have empathy, you have the ability to identify with people. You know what are your requirements, you know the other people's requirements as well, right? So you are able to recognize the feelings of others very, very well because you have learned this art of being excellent in managing relationships. So if you possess that, you do it in an honest and an open way. That is why you are having this particular aspect of empathy. In this case, your emotional intelligence will be on a higher side. Then you have social skills, easy to talk to people, easy to go in a social environment, interact with people. So people who have very good social skills, they are the ones who are team players. You will always see that they are able to manage disputes very, very well in a team. And they are the ones who are taking the team ahead. They are not just thinking about their own successfulness, right? So what happens here is that if these characteristics are taken care of, that means if emotional intelligence can be something which is the key to your success in life, you will see that you are climbing the hierarchy faster than the others, especially in the workplace that you are there. We always say that your passion towards the job should be there. You will not see that you are working a single day. So if you are passionate enough, and if you understand people's reactions, if you understand the kind of work environment you are in, if you can take responsibility of your actions without hurting anybody, probably you are the person who would succeed in life. We'll go ahead and take up an important aspect of soft skills, which is the personality trait. So if you ask me what is personality, it is something which is related to the patterns that we see in a particular individual, whether it is related to your thoughts, the behavior that you have, the attitude that you have with people, the feelings that you have. So basically the type of person you are, right? So apart from the basic fact that personality, people who have very good personality, you start appreciating them, but you also notice that just personality is not enough. And sometimes we have to see whether we can work on our personality apart from the physical features that one person possesses, right? You might see that beauty pageants are there, Miss Universe contest, Miss World contest, where beauty is important, but apart from that, brains are also important. So that brings us to say that is personality only the outward appearance? No, it is also the inner self. So you may be beautiful, but you have to have certain traits which people like, which is your inner self. That's the reason why in beauty pageants, they not only look at the beauty, they also ask certain questions where the brain is also showcased, right? So these are certain features which are taken into consideration when it is your personality trait. Your altitude is important because that is what will be determining your attitude, right? So altitude and attitude go hand in hand. That is the foundation for your success, right? So you should have a positive and optimistic attitude towards life in general and towards your job in particular. If you are somebody who is very enthusiastic, that means you are having some energy and some zeal and some passion for your work in general. And if you take up some projects, you do it with your whole heart, right? That means you are enjoying what you are doing. So as a result, you are more engaged in that particular job. And ultimately, people who are there, working as the head of the organization, they will be liking you as an individual because they have seen in your personality that this is how you work, right? Also, you should have confidence in you, contrary to the assumption that we have that there are different layers of confidence. That means that we are not confident in all the areas. And sometimes we are very confident in certain activities which we like, and at other places we may not be so confident, right? So depending on the behavior that we are showcasing, wherever we see that the confidence is lacking, you should take or grab every opportunity that you get to increase your confidence level. So for example, if some student is very hesitant to make presentations in class when the teacher is insisting for a project, then you should grab every opportunity because you're getting an opportunity to speak in front of your classmates, right? So you may be confident otherwise, but when you come in front of your class, you are not feeling so confident. If you grab this opportunity every time, slowly and steadily, you will become confident enough. Apart from this, you should have self-discipline in life. You cannot say that I want to be successful, but I can't get up in the morning early. I can't have a disciplined life. So I am educated, but then I am not able to control something called my conduct, right? So you should have the ability to control and restrain from anything which is taking you ahead or away from something which you don't want in life. So you should be committed. You should be following certain decisions that you have taken. So something which is reasonable as far as your personality traits are concerned, you should be taking care of it in terms of discipline, right? Ethical behavior here refers to something wherein we are talking about the morals that people have in life, right? So there are certain accepted standards of conduct in your workplace as well. So you need to see that you follow a behavior which is principled, which is something conforming to the standards, and people will always tell you that this is what is right and this is what is not allowed in the organization. So you need to take care of that, right? Now, all this, what we have studied now, is related or a combination of what we said as soft skills. If you feel that I have to improve on my soft skills, you have to see that you are working on it. First thing is that your creativity should come out in these cases. So your communication should not just be good, it should be effective. You should always ask for feedback from people. Always try to work on certain characteristics which you do not possess but are essential at the workplace, right? And since we are coming out of the COVID times, people say that not just the general skills are required in the work environment, you should always feel that I can adapt to any kind of environment. Recently, I was interacting with one of my old colleagues, and he works in a company, and he said that now the organization is telling us to come full day for the job. All this while we were at home, working from home, but now the company wants us to come back. And the problem was that my friend was not ready to come back to the workplace. Why? Because he's adjusted to that environment since the last 2 years, right? So there is this concept called adaptability and flexibility, which might be missing. They say that first they should try on the hybrid work environment where people are called for some 2 to 3 days in a week. Rest of the days they can work from home. And probably after a period of time, they should be called full-time for all the days, right? So this was some of the suggestions that were given from the employee that I'm talking about, right? So since this adaptability factor has become important, we should try practicing it. You should have something called self-awareness so that you can further know what do I have to work on now. So the best way is step outside your comfort zone, have some self-reflection, And in case something is missing as a soft skill or a trait which is essential on the job, try practicing it and try taking some courses if it is possible. Sometimes when you listen to people, then also you learn a lot. I always tell my students that you can be good at communication only when you listen. So listen to people who are good in their own field. You must be knowing that on the internet there is something called the TED Talks, TED. TED Talks are something which will make you good at communication even if you just hear them. That means whichever field you are interested in, if you are interested in medicine, if you are interested in entertainment, if you are interested in technology, you have a TED Talk for everything, right? So when people are speaking and you are listening, you get their experiences and you try relating it to your life. And another best way to improve on your soft skills is reading the newspaper, because you get automatic words when you are speaking to people if you have a habit of reading newspapers. That could be the best way that you can follow, right? Now we come to the last segment of the presentation, and that is something which I wanted you to understand apart from just learning about soft skills. Can you please mute your mics? Yeah. Okay. So now we are specifically talking about startups. Now, what are startups? Startups are companies which are small growing firms. These could be founded by one or more entrepreneurs. Now, initially, these type of companies have very limited capital, and the experience that people have is also very limited in nature. So that's the reason why at the initial stage of operating, these types of firms, they are thinking that whether we should go ahead with the idea that we have or we should stop. So in many cases, you will find that the capital investments in startups is very, very high and the initial revenue is very low. That's why people hesitate to take risks. But if you are self-motivated, if you are passionate, if you are the person who is quite creative and adaptable as well, and you have a great idea, you can probably go ahead and you go ahead with a startup launch. So on a high level, if you see, a startup works like any other company. So you will have a group of people working together, they create a product and customers will buy the product, but it is something different from the regular business. What distinguishes a startup from other businesses is the way they are doing it. So you should understand this, that whenever startups go ahead, they do not duplicate. No duplication can be seen if it is called a startup, right? And if it is a company where you are thinking that the company may be starting now, but I do not know where the company is going to go, that means you are not taking care of the growth factor. That means your startup is not scalable enough. So you should think about certain ideas where the speed of the startup in comparison to other businesses is very, very fast. So you should also have that mindset that my company or my business which I'm starting, I am giving it my whole heart, and now it is something which has to start now and scale later, right? So any business which is scalable will help you further go ahead in terms of profits that you earn in business, right? So when you say that startups are building on ideas, they build on ideas, they do it very, very quickly, right? So whenever you want to develop some product or you want to go ahead with some service, it should be something which is not available in the market. It should be something which people did not think about before this. That is why they say that ideas should be great. Then only you can go ahead with your business plan. So people will not be interested in your business plan until and unless you have a scalable business outset, right? So whenever we go ahead, we have some examples which are very, very inspiring for all of us. These are examples wherein we just hear about this and we say that, yes, we know this company. You have seen Byju's doing wonders in the education field, right? Zomato started with India and it is now in 22 countries. So you have the transport business, you have Mama Earth, which is into the baby products, and you have Blinkit. Now it has gone to Blinkit, so they are just saying, or they are just claiming that 10 minutes and you get it. That is why Blinkit, right? So we have so many things which we can think about that, yes, if I want to start something, I should have some different idea what people have not known earlier, or even if it is something which is existing, how can I improvise on the product or the service which people will start liking? So think about the food industry. Earlier, we used to only think about certain restaurants. So we used to go have food there, sit there, have a nice time and come back. Now we have so many choices. So if you talk about a company called Blue Apron or another company which is called Dinnerly, they also go ahead and they are serving people. But then the meal that they are preparing, it is prepared by a chef only, but the convenience and the choice which is given, the convenience and the choice is not available in the places that we go, the sit-down restaurants that we have. It cannot match it up with them. Why? Because they are catering to customers, not just thousands, they are catering to millions of customers at the same time. So if you see a sit-down restaurant, then you will just see that thousands of people are taken care at the same time. But if it is Zomato, if it is Swiggy, where they are into the food delivery category, we have so many choices, right? So since the choices are more, the customers will think a lot if you do not do business properly, right? So you have to have a great idea. These are unicorns of 2022. Now, unicorn is any company which is excelling when they started up with a small company and they excelled, right? So it is any company which has more than 1 billion as valuation. So these are the companies which are there. Some of it I have listed. So you would have heard about LinkSpace, you would have heard about DealShare. There are so many companies, but then people who are having scalable business are only able to enter here. And every business startup has the ultimate aim to go public, like Paytm. Paytm started as launching as a startup, but then it went public, right? So if you go public, listing is there, then it is something which you feel that you are being the ultimate aim you have catered to. This is how we go ahead with the entire process. This is important for you to understand because whenever we talk about soft skills, you should know that there are skills required at every stage. So you need to have a business plan. You need to have an idea. You have to pitch your idea to people who are going to accept it or not going to accept it. So if you are able to pitch that idea well, that is called a pitch deck. In startup business plan, it is called pitch deck. So that's a presentation which is used to pitch your idea whenever you are speaking to investors. You want them to invest in your company. So you prepare some slides and you make a presentation in front of them. So they will be ready to listen to you only when you have a great idea and when you are able to put across that idea in the right way. So you might start up with an idea, but you should have a great business plan. You should have people who can fund your particular project that you are taking up. You should know the rules and regulations. Nowadays, it is the website which is created by the government of India, that is Startup India Plan. So if you go ahead with that, you will find that you will get a lot of benefits as far as startups are concerned. So you should register yourself as a startup here with the government of India. Lately, you have to also understand that you should have a great marketing plan. You should have a great customer base initially, which is not present. Later, if your product is good, this might come in. And then you should have that I have to gain more profits in business and I have something in mind that I have to grow. I have to develop my business and I'm not planning for a short-term business. I have to go ahead and make my company public. So that plan to scale should be there. Now, let's look about around the soft skills which are required in this case. So when you say soft skills in terms of startups, not that these are any way different, but yes, some additions could be there here and there. So when I say communication, now communication is a requirement in every job, not just startup. You can start your own business, you can be an entrepreneur, but excellent communication skills are crucial for working at a startup as well. So the environment a startup is often getting is very fast-paced, and the ability that you have, if you do not have great ideas and if you cannot communicate your great ideas in a clear and concise manner, then you will get stuck somewhere because of the communication factor. The investors will not give you more time that, okay, can I explain you once again? They will not have so much of time because they have already heard what you want to say. And probably you missed somewhere in communication, in your body language, in the way you spoke to them. And somewhere the expertise in communication skills is missing. That's the reason why you might be lacking here, right? Apart from that, another requirement is flexibility. So things change very quickly for a startup. That's the reason why flexibility and adaptability are very, very helpful soft skills. So those who are taking care of the routine work environment, for them, it may be something different. But if you are going ahead with a startup, you should have certain skills which you can demonstrate as flexibility as well. So you can quickly lend yourself to being flexible at the workplace, because as the business is growing, as there are changes in the business, the whole new system requires that you adapt to the industry. If there are any changes in the labor laws, you should quickly adapt to what the government is telling you, right? Apart from that, There should be resourcefulness. Now, resourcefulness is again taken as a skill for startup applicants because whenever you are operating with limited amount of budget, limited time factor, limited manpower, and because you do not have the proper infrastructure, although nowadays you have the incubation centers where they are helping you out with all these things, where you are trying to solve your problems and you want to make your business go ahead. So you take help in the initial 3 years of starting up a business, but later you only have to take care of everything. So what you can think in resourcefulness is that, can I come up with a production scale which nobody has taken care of yet? Can I automate a technology process? If I use that, it will be very, very easy for me to do business because I save on 10 times of the speed that I can do with the technology instead of doing it manually. So can I do something valuable for the team? Can I make some contribution in terms of the tools where resourcefulness will increase, right? Apart from that, startups generally look for candidates who have this particular aspect of taking initiative. So people in startups will not be telling you what you have to do. You have to take the initiative, you have to creatively think, and you have to showcase great ideas and present them and also implement them. So if you are waiting for somebody to come and tell you, it will be rather difficult. Apart from that, perseverance. Whenever you go ahead as a job candidate, perseverance is required. If you go ahead with a startup, perseverance is an essential quality there also. So any startup will not be successful if you are not having the ability and the drive to stick to a project until and unless it is completed, right? So you should have perseverance till the project is completed. So you have to push yourself through the difficult times so that you can succeed and you can go ahead scaling your business to a better level, right? So these are the basic soft skills which are required. I have picked up top 5. There could be more, but these are the basic requirements for any startup, right? So overall, if you see, these will be something which you have to improvise on. See that your communication is going in the right direction. So we are talking today about effective communication, not just communication or good communication. People who are close-minded, difficult to communicate with, you have to see that you're not judging them, right? So have an open mind. Do not judge people. Do not have stereotyping. Do not have some errors in perception that you try judging the person at the first meeting itself and you do not give time to the person. Don't do that mistake. Actively listen because this is going to go a long way with you. Self-reflection, be aware of yourself. We have spoken about emotional intelligence. Apart from that, we have also spoken about the flexibility and adaptability aspect. So practice it, and then it will be coming in your way of life. Work as a team. Don't think about individual benefits. Always think about team benefits. Then only you can be successful. And if possible, try searching for some online courses which are MOOC courses available so easily that you take up a certification. And nowadays the flexibility is there that you don't want a certification, you just want to learn. So you can just say that I want to take up a free course. I don't want to pay because I've already paid a lot in my education. I don't want to pay more. Just learn the skill, because the moment you showcase the skill, they would not even require the certification from your side, right? So wherever the company says that technical skills are required, only for showcasing your soft skills, you can take up a free online course. But in whichever courses you feel that soft skills requirement is also there and the certification is also required, then you can take up a proper course where the certificate is also given to you. So that will come for a price, right? So you have a variety of choices. So the government of India has taken up the initiative where they are going in for skill development. They say that we have the Swayam courses by the Ministry of MHRD, and you want to take up those courses, they are charging you very minimal. You might take up the course and you just pay 500 or 1,000 rupees for the examination and you get a certificate. But if you want to have better choices, there are courses which are taken up by big B schools also, like IIM Bangalore takes care of a particular course which is on people management, right? So it depends on what you want and how far you want to go in life that you can decide and choose, right? So with this, I would like to end my presentation. In case you have any questions, you are always welcome to ask me. So this is it for the day. And I feel that today, if you try developing your skills, tomorrow definitely you'll be better. So don't think I've come to the college level and now I can't do anything. Still your personality can be developed. It actually develops each day. So go ahead, observe people, go ahead, listen to people, and always be good at communicating to people. Try having a setup where you become a figure where, I want to interact with people in a social environment, not that I just want to stick to my room, I don't want to come out. Don't be such a person. The moment you go out and speak to people, definitely your soft skills will improve. Right? So that's all for the day. In case any questions, please let me know. Are you able to hear me? Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful session. It was really informative and helpful for shaping our career. Thank you, ma'am, for sparing your valuable time on this webinar. Now, I request all the participants to feel free to interact with the resource person. If there are any queries, please put it in the chat box. You can also ask directly, unmute yourselves.
Any questions? Anything that you want to ask me? Anything that you didn't understand? Okay, no doubts and no questions?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Feedback link will be shared in the chat box. Now, I request Professor Vinuta, ma'am, to extend the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, one and all. I, Srimati Vinita JB, Coordinator, National Innovation Startup Policy, RL Science Institute, Belagavi. It gives me an immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks on this Impact Lecture Series and a talk on soft skills for career guidance, organized by Innovation Institution Innovations, RL Science Institute, Belagavi. So, firstly, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our today's resource person, Professor Mahak Balani, Assistant Professor, Department of MBA, Acharya Institute of Technology, Bangalore. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. You really enlightened us about the importance of soft skills in the career building. Thank you very much, ma'am. Extend my heartfelt gratitude to our beloved principal, madam, Dr. Srimati Jais Kavalekar, so for her constant support and encouragement towards conducting this event. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank Dr. Satisha MP, President, IIC, Dr. Kirti Badgi Madam, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Prashant Hiremat, Convener, IIC, Dr. Gangadhar Sir, Internship Coordinator, Ms. Sudha Sarikar, Startup Coordinator, heads of various departments, and all my dear colleagues. Thank you all. And last but not the least, I thank all the participants for your patience hearing and making this event a grand success. Thank you, one and all. So now the feedback link will be shared in the chat box. So kindly give the feedback.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me.
Firstly, I would like to thank Professor Mahek Belani ma'am for her wonderful talk on this soft skills. It was really inspiring, ma'am. Thanks for accepting our invitation and addressing us and all our students who have got benefited from your talk. So I would like to thank you from Institutions Innovation Council, KLE Society, as well as from all our ISC members. Once again, thanks to you, ma'am. I would like to thank everybody, our beloved principal ma'am, our ISC coordinators, ISC president, accuracy coordinator, and everybody who have contributed for the successful completion of this IPR Impact session, both lecture 1 as well as lecture 2. So very soon, I will be sharing the feedback link in the chat box. So you please give all the feedbacks and so if there are no inputs, so that we can wind up the session. Yeah, link will be shared very soon. I'm sharing the feedback link. Yes, it has been.
Chandra, I would take your lead now.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So now the link has been shared in the chat box, so you can go for the giving the feedback. I thank everyone.